7 kilometres to go, and look at this, it's exciting stuff because we've got two riders away now. They've dropped their other companions, and we've got Joe Cooper and Bevan Mason, and here is the peloton trying to hunt them down. And we've got young Tom David from a product of St Kentigern's College at the front for Southland Times, and he is hunting down those two riders who are away. Share the Road in behind Tom David. Then there's another member of Southland Times there. So Southland Times have come to the front to help the effort of Share the Road and Calder Stewart. They're quite keen to catch those front two, Joe Cooper and Bevan Mason. But you'd think if they catch them, it's going to be set up for Calder Stewart and Greg Henderson.
Well, yes, and catch them they must. They're coming into Gore. It's a flat stage. It's a flat finish. The sprinters now will be itching to catch these two guys and bring it all together for a big bunch sprint and try and one of them get the stage win here into Gore.
So Joe Cooper, well known for his time trialling ability, at the front, head down, and he is just going for it. And Bevan Mason is getting an armchair ride here in behind the time trial specialist. There was a group of 6 or 7 riders away. Taylor Gunman, Andy McNabb, Bevan Mason was there, of course, Sean Joyce, Elliot Crowther and Josh Atkins. And Cooper really, over the little climbs that they've had, is blowing them apart, and it's only been Bevan Mason who's been able to hang in there. And this guy's been a bit of a revelation on the tour, John, hasn't he? Because he's just, well, we hadn't heard of him because he's been buried in Queensland racing in things like the Tour of Toowoomba.
Yeah, he has, and he's won a couple of big races over there. He's won some good stuff in Australia this year, and he's come here with obviously a lot of great form, and he's mixing it up here with Joe Cooper, who's won the Tour of Taranaki this year, been over to the Tour of New Caledonia, and won that as well. So Bevan Mason really strong.
And of course Joe went with the team to China. The Subway-Avanti team raced over there this year, trying to mix it up in the Asian Tour. And that's only good for New Zealand cycling. More riders we get overseas, the better it is, and we've got a lot racing in the United States and in Europe. But it'd be great to get a bunch riding on the Asian Tour as well. Well, here's the call coming. Tell them what the gap is.
That's right, and the gap is not much. They've got about half a minute on the peloton right now as they cruise in to Gore, and it's not far to go. There must be under 5Ks to go.
Well, I think actually, John, the next thing we see will be the 5K to go board, and that's not too far away. And it'll be nervous times now for the peloton. They've got to get themselves organised. We saw Southland Times coming to the front and working with Calder Stewart and Share the Road to try and close these two down to set up their sprinters for the big finish here at Gore. And it's a bit of a twisty-turny finish too, because they go through the suburbs, they cut back and switch around before they actually hit the finishing straight. And there's only 150 metres from the last turn to the finish line. And here's the peloton.
Well, there are a lot of great sprinters in this peloton. We've seen the guys sprinting for the sprint points, Roman van Uden. We've seen Carl Murray, but we've got sprinters like young Alex Ray's a great sprinter, very quick in the final stages of any race. And of course, we've got Greg Henderson in here, who's an international class sprinter.
And let's just hope they don't get all nervous today, because yesterday we saw that as they charged to Bluff Hill. Someone lost concentration and bam, we had a big crash. And obviously, poor old Mike Torkler's out of the tour now. Let's hope he recovers quickly and we see him at the Road Nationals. And look, we're into this houses, so we're not too far away from the finish, Johnny. And it's still Cooper and Mason, and Mason's getting a bit nervous looking around.
Well, this is truly incredible. These guys are holding off a peloton with such a lot of firepower in it. As they come into Gore here, they won't be able to believe that they're able to keep these guys away, and the little spark of hope will be going in their minds now. We just might be able to make it.
Employing Pro Tour tactics back behind them. Here's a board, here's one of the markers coming up, and that'll tell us exactly how many Ks we've got to go, and it says 3 Ks to go. All right, 3 kilometres to go, and that gap is coming down, and it's around about the 29-28 second mark now. That's the latest we've got. Joe Cooper from Subway-Avanti, and in behind him from Ascot Park Hotel, it's Bevan Mason.
Look at the power of Joe Cooper. Every time he comes to the front, Bevan Mason has to get out of his seat and give himself a little bit of acceleration just to stay on Joe Cooper's wheel. Their legs will be burning, their hearts will be thumping, and their lungs will be bursting. The heads will be spinning as they come in here, just trying to keep themselves going. Looking back there, and I think we can see the peloton in the background, the headlights of the cars.
The headlights of the lead vehicles are back there, and they know that this is going to be touch and go, so they can't rest. Here's the peloton. Share the Road at the front. You got Southland Times rider there. I think that was Tom David, about fourth wheel back, and then the first of the Calder Stewart riders.
I can't help thinking there's something wrong with Greg Henderson here. The Calder Stewart guys aren't on the front. They're not trying to bring these guys back so that Greg Henderson can sprint it in.
Actually, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, we see in the Pro Tour we'd have Hayden Ralston at the front just burying it for Mark Cavendish, and I would have expected him to be doing it for his former Madison teammate, Greg Henderson.
But then we must think these guys, the Calder Stewart Bike NZ guys are obviously looking farther forward to the whole tour, as Hayden Ralston's only 22 seconds down on the overall, so they don't want to waste his energy or the rest of their teammates perhaps.
2Ks to go for the front two, and here come the rest.
It's still going to be touch and go.
Well, look, they're all bunched up, Johnny, so there's not the effort, not the chase that we were expecting. And it's still being left to share the road to keep it at that 29 seconds. So this is handing the win to either one of these two riders. Let's make the call now. Either Mason or Cooper is going to win this stage.
That's an incredible result to be out for so long by themselves.
Look at Mason having to get out of his seat to hunt down that wheel of Joe Cooper, using his time trialling power.
Joe Cooper just rolling through so smoothly. Look at the power he's getting, and Wayne Mason's giving it everything. Bevan Mason, is giving it everything. Look at him standing up on his pedals there to catch up to the back wheel of Joe Cooper. Looks like Joe's got so much power.
Well, they'll come out onto the main road briefly, and then they'll swing across the bridge, and then they'll head back into town, and they've got two more turns after that. So here they go on the main road, on the state highway. They're only on it for a little bit, across the river, and they'll turn right, and they'll run parallel back up towards the back of Gore, and then back into town. It's only 150 metres from the turn, and here's the peloton, and rider number 82 at the front, Johnny.
That's Andrew Hewsham from Team Motor Tapu. He's trying to get a bit of pace on to catch these guys.
So the peloton, it's not as organised as we thought it was going to be by Calder Stewart. 1 kilometre to go, just 1K to go. Right, this is going to be won by one of these two riders, either Cooper or it's going to be Mason. And look at this, we've got Team Motor Tapu on the front, Southland Times, and here's a big move coming from someone from the Orcavallo team on the other side of the road.
So they really have got them in the sights now. It's looking... I was going to say it's touch and go, but I think these guys are going to hold it off.
And look, they're working together still. They're not mucking around. They're not playing match sprints. They are keeping the pace. And, there's a bit of wet tar here on the road because of this heat and sunshine we've had. And that's slowed these two down. Goodness knows what that's going to do to the peloton. And now Mason. There's the last corner coming up in the distance. Mason will lead them down to the corner. Joe Cooper on his wheel. Now the tactics will come into play because they know they've got this. Cooper will roll over the top, will he? There's a call. Mason just has a look at Cooper. Cooper looks around. They come up to the final turn, and Mason will be hoping he can get on the wheel here, and Cooper will lead him out. They go round the corner. They've only got 150 metres to go. Now look for Mason to jump over the top of Cooper. Cooper gets out of the saddle first. He heads for the line. Mason may have left it too long, and Joe Cooper is going to head to the line, and Joe Cooper for Subway is going to win this stage into Gore.
And right behind them, only 14 seconds behind, Clinton Avery beats Greg Henderson to the line for the bunch sprint. Our two breakaway riders, Joe Cooper and Bevan Mason, take the stage, and then the bunch sprint. Clinton Avery pipping Greg Henderson, Tom Scully from Invercargill in fifth. How important was it for you to win the stage today after what happened to you guys yesterday?
It was at the top of our list of what we wanted to achieve today. So we just all set about on our different roles, and we had James Williamson in the first early move, and and that came back, and then we just started firing the bullets again until I got into our winning move, and it's a pretty awesome feeling after yesterday of all the lows. So now we're on a high. So I just hope we can build on this for tomorrow and the next few days.
What's the plan from now on, Joe?
I'm keen to try and work on the King of the Mountains points, and just get our team Subway-Avanti out there a bit more, and make some headlines.
And the leaderboard does not change from yesterday. Jeremy Yates holds yellow. His teammate from Share the Road, Jack Bauer, in second place. Hayden Ralston threatening at 22 seconds back. Then Floyd Landis and Michael Olheiser. So Jeremy Yates dresses up for another day in yellow. In the King of the Mountains competition, Joe Cooper's escapade today gives him a 2-point lead over Josh Atkins. Roman Van Uden extends his lead in the Harcourt Sprint Ace, 38 points to Carl Murray's 21. And Daniel Barry is our under-23 leader by only 5 seconds from Invercargill's Matt Marshall.